So, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Now, why is Paul reviewing this movie? Of every fucking movie in the world, he decides to review Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island? Not gonna lie, I have some fond memories of this movie. I grew up watching Scooby-Doo. My brother especially was a big Scooby-Doo fan. I was more of a Bugs Bunny fan. But Bugs Bunny is definitely the better cartoon. It's all a matter of opinion, I guess. I had this movie on VHS growing up, and I remember this movie kind of scared the shit out of me. I don't know how much of it was the actual movie and how much of it was the VHS itself. So I remember I had this on VHS, and I had a few other Scooby-Doo movies on VHS. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Scooby-Doo and there was a fucking one that happened in Salem. I can't remember. There was a Scooby-Doo movie in Salem. I can't remember. But anyway, this one had a Courage the Cowardly Dog cartoon. And this was the scariest shit I've ever seen as a kid. It was the famous episode with King Ramses. For those of you who don't know Courage the Cowardly Dog, it's a cartoon that ran in the late 90s, early 2000s. About a dog who lives in the American Midwest, and he always finds himself in these creepy scenarios. In this episode in particular, Courage the Cowardly Dog found himself confronting King Ramses, and the whole episode is 2D animated, except for fucking King Ramses is 3D animation, and he says, "Return the slab, or suffer my curse."
Return the slab, or suffer my curse.
Yeah, so that fucking traumatized me. Movie didn't even start. And then I fucking watched the movie and it has some fucking zombies in it. It was a scary movie for a little Paul, you know? I was really young when I watched this movie, okay? You guys are going in the comments, you're about to say, Paul, you're a fucking pussy. It is what it is. I got a little scared when I was a kid of this Scooby-Doo zombie movie. So what are my thoughts on Scooby-Doo in general? Unlike Bugs Bunny you can watch it still when you're adult and enjoy it. Scooby-Doo is a little more outdated. And I feel like it's because every episode has kind of the same plot. And the Hanna-Barbera business model was like cheap animation. And the animation doesn't hold up as well as with the Bugs Bunny cartoons or other animations of the time. But I always liked it when Scooby-Doo found himself facing a real threat. Even as a kid, I never really liked it when they would just like remove the mask and it was like, oh, it's some guy from the fucking carnival. It's like, are you kidding me? I just watched a fucking 30-minute TV show. Also, the threats are like some guy trying to screw over a competitor. I don't know. I always liked it when Scooby-Doo faced real threats. People complained that the James Gunn Scooby-Doo movies are like too weird. I actually kind of like that aspect of the James Gunn Scooby-Doo movies. Although I don't really like the James Gunn Scooby-Doo movies because they're kind of weird. Yeah, let's dive right into it. So, I'm just going to point this out right off the bat. There's a scene in this movie. And in the movie, we see what the Mystery Inc. group has kind of dismantled. And Velma's working in an archive. Daphne has her own TV show. And we see what Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are up to. And basically, they have a job at the airport looking for food contraband. That's right, food contraband. And when no one's looking and when the boss is away, Shaggy and Scooby consume the food contraband.
Pretty sneaky, but they can't fool your nose.
That's right.
Like no one brings contraband food into our country with us on the job.
Well,
Like, let's go check it in, Scoob. Like, is this the jackpot of jobs or what?
well.
Guys, you're not fooling anyone. We all know Shaggy's a bit of a stoner, alright? Stop trying to mask it around as this food addiction. It's not a food addiction. He's a stoner. He passes the friggin' joints around with Scooby. Just admit it already. I'm tired of all this subliminal messaging. I just want to see Shaggy rip a bowl in front of the fucking camera. No, don't do that. Fucking Scooby-Doo is for kids. What am I saying? They like food, not drugs. Alright, anyway. Positives with the movie. Does it still hold up? Medium. I'd give it a medium hold up. The animation is really beautiful in this movie, and especially when you compare it to the original Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Those were relatively cheaply made, and that was the point because animation was really expensive, and if you're going to make a serialized TV show out of it, you best be sure that the budget is small. So they had to cut a few corners in the original animated series. Here, it looks really nice. Doesn't look as good as your theatrically released Disney 2D animated movies, but it's still a step above the original Scooby-Doo movies, so that's really interesting to see. There are some frightening scenes, and look, it's not frightening for me anymore. I'm a big boy, all right? I'm a big boy. However, I do think it's important to scare kids a little bit. I find movies nowadays, like kids' movies, they're a little scared of frightening kids. I remember growing up with movies like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and, like I said, watching Courage the Cowardly Dog and stuff like that, and it was some really scary shit. And I think it's okay to scare a kid. A movie that's recent that actually I think does a good job at that is Paranorman. I think Paranorman has some frightening scenes for kids, but is still appealing for a kid to watch. So you can ride that line pretty well, and yeah, this movie kind of does it, I think. It did it for me as a kid, so I'm going based off that. Maybe I'm just looking at it through nostalgia goggles, but no, I thought it was a pretty scary movie. Yeah, besides that, look, I'm a grown-ass man. I'm 22 years old now. Hard for me to enjoy a Scooby-Doo movie. Not gonna lie. Some criticisms I have with the movie, the ending kind of pops out of nowhere, and there's not really many zombies in this movie, and they arrive kind of more than halfway through the film. And it's a short film, it's only an hour, 10 minutes. Half the runtime you don't even see any zombies, which is kind of weird. But when they are there is pretty frightening scenes. And even setting up the zombies, the scene that really scared me as a kid was when they're going through the found footage of the film and trying to find how the writing went on the wall, and they find a fucking ghost in the corner. That shit was like the movie Sinister before the movie Sinister came out.
Bring up the sharpness a bit, and hey.
It looks like a ghost.
It is the ghost of Morgan Moonscar.
Scooby-Doo, Zombie Island, ahead of its time. But yeah, I thought there was not enough scares and they arrived a little too late in the movie. A lot of setup, not a lot of payoff. And I'm trying to view this through a kid's perspective as well. So, I don't know, that was the case for me watching it as an adult. Might be different for a little kid, who knows. The one thing about the original Scooby-Doo cartoon that's really appealing is the fact that it came out in the 70s. And it has that 70s vibe to it. The characters dress like they're in the 70s. The music feels like it's from the 70s. It's from that era. This is a criticism I have with all modern Scooby-Doo movies. I wish they just would have stuck with that aesthetic just the whole time. But I get it. They're trying to make it appeal to the kids of that generation. I remember when I was a kid and the James Gunn written Scooby-Doo movies came out. They had fucking Simple Plan.
This is who I am and this is what I like. JC Sum and Blink and MXPX rockin' my room.
Wasn't there a fucking... There's a Britney Spears or a Pam Anderson cameo in one of those movies too. I can't really remember. They try to make it relevant to the time, and I wish they just kind of stuck with that 70s aesthetic. It would have made it a bit more unique, but I'm just doing some wishful thinking here, I guess. Yeah, I don't like the whole twist ending with the cats. I thought that really came out of nowhere. It's a zombie movie and all of a sudden there's like cat people. It wasn't as frightening as the movie Cats, with the Jellicle cats. Have you ever heard of this movie, Cats? Wasn't as frightening as that movie. I thought it was a little goofy towards the end, and it didn't really stick with what the film was setting up. It really comes out of left field. Other than that, there's also like this recurring character, and all he does is try to catch a fish throughout the whole movie. And he literally does nothing else in this movie besides like scare Shaggy at some point. And he's like, well, Zoink, Scoob, it's just a guy trying to catch a catfish. That was my horrible Shaggy impression, but yeah, that character was a bit useless. Overall, look, I'm 22. What am I doing reviewing this movie? I have better things to do. I have an exam in 2 days, and here I am watching Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. But I watched it, and you know what? I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's a good movie to show your kid. It's harmless fun. It's innocent. It doesn't give me seizures like modern animation gives me. I feel like nowadays it's all digital animation, and it just gives me a headache. And maybe it's because I'm slightly epileptic or some shit like that. I don't know. Who knows? But it's a harmless movie. It's good family fun. I would recommend a parent show this to their kid. But if you're a 22-year-old guy sitting in a garage thinking about what he's going to eat for a midnight snack, I wouldn't recommend this movie. Which is fair enough. Scooby-Doo is for kids. What the fuck are you thinking? Don't watch this movie if you're an adult. That's all I got to say about this. It was good to revisit this movie, I guess.
Grab your ghoul repellent and get ready for Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, because this time the monsters are real. Now on video from Warner Brothers Family Entertainment.